Welcome back, MTN Nets podcast. We are going to talk about a few things today. Most importantly, who will the Nets take with the 19th overall pick? We did the 8th overall pick a couple weeks ago, so go back and check that video if you missed it. I want to cover all these picks. So today's going to be 19. Already did 8. I'm going to do 26, 27 in the next video. I might include 36 as well because all those picks are pretty close to each other, and by that point in the draft we don't really know who's going to be there, so I'll just rattle off a bunch of names. But pick 19 today, I also want to touch on some other Nets rumors, whether it's an involvement with taking on bad contracts and a couple of different trades, whether it's one with the Sixers where the Nets would hypothetically get the 3rd overall pick, the Sixers would get our 8th overall pick, but the Nets would have to take on Paul George. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about involvement in a Kevin Durant trade, which would be kind of ironic, but there's a possibility that happens as well. There's been some mock trades about that. So we'll talk about all those things, but of course, most importantly, pick number 19 overall. What will the Nets do with that pick? So hope you guys enjoy. Leave a like, subscribe, and let's get into it. All right, let's start with the mock trade with Kevin Durant. So in this, it was like posted by like a Suns podcast, but it's something that I guess could happen, and I've seen people talk about it. So let's just talk about it. Why not? It would have the Suns receiving Cam Johnson, Nick Claxton, Jeremy Sohan, a 2025 first-round pick, which would be ours, 19th overall. The Spurs would receive Kevin Durant, Noah Clowney, and a 2025 first-round pick, 8th overall. And then the Brooklyn Nets would be getting Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, Keldon Johnson, but the 2025 first-round pick of the Spurs, which is 2nd overall. So if the Nets are in love with Dylan Harper, as many have speculated, of course, Sean Marks went to so many Rutgers games this past year, I could see them being tempted by this. Now, the Nets are giving out a lot, but let's not also act like Devin Vassell, Harrison Barnes, and Keldon Johnson are nothing. Vassell was a top 15 pick back in the 2020 draft. He's young. He took a bit of a step back last year, but still a pretty promising player. Harrison Barnes has 1 year left on his deal, and he's a guy who can get you maybe some draft capital at the deadline next year if he were to be on the Nets for the first half of next year. And Keldon Johnson, I've always liked him. I don't know if it's because he's always playing well against the Nets or whatever it is, but I believe he's still only 25 years old. He's a decent role player. Like, Keldon Johnson's not nothing. And then you get the 2nd overall pick. So the Nets are getting a lot here. I don't want to act like those role players are nothing. But then you're also giving away Noah Clowney. You're giving away Cam Johnson and Nick Claxton. Promising players there. Of course, Noah Clowney, there was a lot of promise coming into last year. The ankle injury and just him not really developing more than just his jump shot, that kind of derailed his season. Then you have Cam Johnson, who had his best year last year. I don't mind getting rid of Cam Johnson. I've said this for over a year now, but still, if I'm getting rid of Cam Johnson, I'd rather not be giving away 2 first-round picks as well, but I do understand it's the 2nd overall pick. And also giving away Nick Claxton, where I'm not really one of those people that is dying to get rid of Nick Claxton, but if it's in a deal that makes sense, I can live with that. But also giving away the 8th overall pick and the 19th overall pick, so your draft capital would go from having 4 first-round picks to now only 3, and those 3 picks would be 2nd overall and those 2 picks in the mid to late 20s that the Nets have, which is 26, 27. So it would be 2, 26, 27, and the Nets, of course, have that 2nd round pick, 36th overall. If it were me at general manager, I don't know if I would do this. I would have to be like super convinced that Dylan Harper is going to be a star in the NBA, because if you make this type of trade and Dylan Harper, I'm assuming it's Harper, I keep saying his name, but if you make this kind of trade and Harper doesn't turn into what you think he can be, I mean, this is going to be I don't want to say historically bad trade, because we've seen some bad ones in the past 10 years, but unfortunately the Nets are usually on the wrong end of those trades, and this could be another instance where if like Dylan Harper didn't work out, we could be looking back on this and saying, yeah, that was a horrible trade for Brooklyn. But if they did it, I don't think I'd freak out about it. You also go into it thinking like, yeah, I could see where this one bottoms out, and we look back on this in a couple years and be like, that was terrible. But there's also the situation where Dylan Harper comes in, he's a star right away, and Devin Vassell turns into what he was supposed to be. Harrison Barnes nets you a first-round pick in the future if you trade him. Keldon Johnson ends up being a solid role player here off the bench for the next few years. Like, there's always that possibility. So I don't know if I would do it. Like, I'm not paid to make these decisions. I'm just saying if the Nets were to make this trade, I would not freak out about it. And there's also the rumor with the Sixers, where, as I said before, the Nets would have to take on Paul George, where I will look up his contract right now because it's atrocious. Now, I've always been a Paul George guy. Like, I probably like Paul George more than the average person, but Paul George has 3 years left on his deal, a player option in 2027-28, where he'll be 37 years old. The player option is for $56 million, so in all likelihood, he's going to be saying yes, he'll take that. So 3 more years on his contract, $51 million cap hit next year, $54 the year after that, and $56 in that final year. So that's a ton to take on. You would also be getting the 3rd overall pick and not the 2nd overall pick if you were to trade with the Spurs. So there probably would be no Dylan Harper on the board, which definitely influences my decision. So if it were me and the Sixers called and they were offering the 3rd overall pick and Paul George for the 8th overall pick, Cam Johnson, and probably a salary filler in there, I'd have to turn them down. I don't think I would do it. If the Nets did it, I mean, probably wouldn't crash out about it. I know a lot of people would, because as I said, I do like Paul George more than the average person, but him being 35 years old, it just does not fit the team's timeline at all. He's had health issues in recent years. I just don't think it's the right thing for this team to do. It just does not fit the timeline, which is a consistent argument against trading for Giannis Antetokounmpo, which that seems like it's dead now, so that's good. We don't have to live through an offseason of those rumors. This just doesn't make sense to me. I just don't think I would do it. I would love the 3rd overall pick. I was praying for it on draft night, but it's just you're giving up way too. You're not giving up too much, but you're taking on way too much. And if the Sixers were if they were able to dump Ben Simmons' contract and Paul George's contract onto us in a span of 3 years, that would say a lot about Sean Marks. You cannot let Daryl Morey bitch you twice with bad contracts. So therefore, I would say no to this trade. I am definitely open to the first one with the one with the Suns and the Spurs. Ultimately, they probably end up doing nothing and sit pat where they are, which is fine. But these are some interesting rumors that I wanted to talk about. So, yeah, those are my thoughts. But let's get into the 19th overall pick. I know there's no chance he'll be available at 19. I guess I don't want to say no chance because we don't know how this is going to turn out. But I'd be shocked if Carter Bryant fell to 19. But I did not talk about him in the last video, so I just want to touch on him quickly. He's a guy who, if he were announced at pick 8, I'd be shocked, but it's also not impossible. So I just want to talk about that for a second. So Carter Bryant listed at 6'6.5" officially. He was a solid catch and shoot guy, only averaged 6.5 points per game. So really underused, and you have to project what you think he's going to be. Like, it's just one of those things where you watch him play now and you're like, yeah, I'm not taking that 8th overall. But you have to think about the guy's only 19. What's he going to look like in 5 years? And that's why I think some NBA teams will talk themselves into Carter Bryant. Could that be the Nets? Maybe. He's a guy that has a crazy amount of defensive upside. Like, there's that range of, can he be OG Anunoby? You think of the high end. What if he's Kawhi Leonard, which I doubt, but Kawhi Leonard didn't go that high in the draft either, so sometimes these things just happen. There's obviously things Carter Bryant has to work on, whether it's shooting off the dribble, shooting in general, taking off-balance shots, a lot of offensive stuff. Defensively, he looks great. He can block shots, he can get you rebounds, he has very quick feet, he has a big frame. There's so much defensive upside, so I get it from that perspective. And since Jordi Fernandez got here, the Nets have been so focused on playing defense and playing really hard and playing with a lot of energy. I feel like Carter Bryant fits that for sure. And we know how much Sean Marks has invested in wings ever since Kevin Durant made that tweet about it's a wings league from 2022. So Carter Bryant also fits that mold. I just don't think he'll be available at 19. I'd be shocked. So if the Nets want him, you got to take him at 8. And I don't see it happening. I'm still leaving the door open, but it's just one of those things I wanted to talk about. First guy we're going to officially talk about for 19 is Asa Newell. Not sure if he'll be available, of course, but power forward out of Georgia, a lefty power forward out of Georgia who was listed at 6'10", now 6'9" after the measurements. The Nets, of course, took a lefty power forward slash center out of Georgia not too long ago by the name of Nick Claxton. So the Nets have but the Nets and Sean Marks have liked this type of player before. He has good footwork in the post, definitely has some quick hops, like he gets off the ground quickly, jumps high, good at dunking, good at blocking shots. His jump shot looks okay mechanically. I would say definitely better than Claxton, but he shot 29% from three, so there is some upside there. He's probably more of like an athletic stretch four type of guy. I don't feel comfortable having a 6'9 center. There's times where it's going to happen. We've seen a lot of times during this current NBA Finals where they're playing smaller, like Miles Turner's not playing a lot or as much as he probably would be. Isaiah Hartenstein definitely not playing as much as he usually would. So there's situations where that could happen, and having an Asa Newell at your center position is a necessity. He shows good verticality when defending the rim. I said the Claxton comp is easy, but he does shoot way better. Claxton, I would say, is probably the better athlete overall, but I think Asa Newell is like a better basketball player, just more basketball skill set. That, of course, is a lot to do with his offensive game. He definitely has a lot of defensive upside, switchability. As I said, 6'9", he moves pretty well. He's able to disrupt passing lanes. He had a lot of pick sixes, I guess you can say, where he just intercepted and dunk it on the other end. For the downsides of him, I would say he does not handle the ball that well, does have issues creating his own shot off the dribble, but being a 6'9 power forward, it's not like your first thing that you're supposed to do. The shooting has to be more consistent, but I would say the form is there. There's definitely a good like foundation. He does commit some dumb fouls, and he may need to add some more strength to his frame. There are some post-defense concerns with his body type. For bottom line, I would say the offensive bag may be kind of limited, but Newell has the makings of a valuable role player in the NBA. If he can make 40% of his open threes and be a switchable 1 through 5 defensive player, he'll be worth a top 15 pick. If not, you may end up with the next Brandon Wright, which I don't know why I said Brandon Wright. I know he was like a lefty with a similar frame. Of course, he was a net for like half a year, so I just kind of threw some shade at Brandon Wright. But yeah, I think Newell, if he's there at 19 and he's the pick, I would not be shocked because as I said, like they took Claxton a few years ago. Not the most surprising thing if they go back to the well, because the Claxton pick ultimately worked out. And there's just also the fact that he's a good prospect. Like I just would not mind this pick at all. I mean, yeah, if it took him at 8, I would be pretty annoyed, but if it took him at 19, if he's there, like that's fine by me. There's enough offensive potential there, and defensively, you know what you're getting. As I said, the dumb fouls have to stop, but you're getting a guy who's 6'9 and can move his feet like that and can protect the rim. I'm all in for that. So yeah, if Asa Newell's the pick at 19, I'm a happy camper. Next is Jace Richardson, a shooting guard / point guard out of Michigan State. He was listed at 6'3", but his official measurement was 6 feet and a half. So yeah, that was disappointing when he officially measured in. Only 18 years old still. There's a lot of upside here. Now, I do want to say with Sean Marks being the GM and Sean Marks' friend being Steve Nash, and of course the whole Jason Richardson, Steve Nash, and Steve Nash's, I think it's his ex-wife, that whole rumor, maybe the Nets don't take a Richardson. I would not be shocked if that ends up being the case. But just talking about him, the prospect, I do like Jace Richardson a lot. I do think there's going to be definitely a future for him in the NBA for a long time. He's a lefty with a really good looking jumper. He shot 41% from 3. He's one of those more twitchy and quick type of players. Definitely has a ton of basketball IQ. He always makes the right pass. I'm sure having a father in the NBA helps with that. Very good at finishing on his left side, of course, as a lefty. Probably has to finish more on the right side as well, but we'll get to that. He does play with a lot of passion and shows a lot of emotion. I do like players like that. He knows how to control his body in the air. He's able to hang in the air. He's able to make tough layups in the paint against bigger guys, just really good body control overall. He does have a really good mid-range game, whether it's jumpers, floaters, things like that, push shots. He's good at that. Does very well on the pick and roll as a ball handler, displays good patience, and gets guys on his hip. He definitely gives defensive effort, but has his limitations. He plays the passing lanes well. He has quick hands. He's able to poke the ball away, but overall, he is pretty small. That's definitely a concern. Will he be hunted in the NBA during playoff series? I could definitely see it. Definitely more of a combo guard, not a natural point guard. Only 1.9 assists per game last year. So this is a 6.5 foot tall guard or combo guard. You don't see too many of those that really work out. I mean, I'm not sure if any even come to mind right now. And I would say you also don't see too much isolation scoring for him. Like a lot of times he needs a screen to get to his spots, which you can say the same thing for Yakachonis out of Illinois, like same thing. For bottom line, I said I'd be surprised if Richardson is not a productive sixth man at the minimum. His instincts, IQ, shooting, and tenacity will keep him in the league for a long time. At his weight and height, I don't think anybody is taking that risk in the top 10. But if he falls to 19, I'm interested. So that's it. I feel like he's a bit of a tweener, not a natural point guard. He's undersized, but there is so much talent there. High IQ player. I just think the shot making is great. The shooting is great. So if Richardson's the pick at 19, I'd be pretty surprised because of the whole Steve Nash thing. But as a prospect, I like him a lot, so I'd be happy with that. Next is Liam McNeely, which I know some people would crash out if that were the pick, and I might consider myself there. But anyway, 6'6" and 3/4 official height. He was 185 pounds in college, 19 years old. He'll probably be 20 by the time the year starts. His role in the NBA will be an elite shooter who moves well without the ball. He shot 31% from three, but did take some wild attempts, which I'm sure kind of influenced that percentage being where it was. He does finish around the rim pretty well, so I'll give him that. He's a one move and go type of guy. He does not break you down off the dribble. I said the same thing for Conca-Nipple, so it could be like just a white guy thing, like you're not really sizing guys up and doing your, combo moves and whatnot. He's always under control. He plays at his own pace. I guess there are times he'll take some wild layups, but a lot of times he either somehow makes them or gets a foul. So I can't say he's too out of control. He kind of gets what he wants to get at the end of the day. He does make the right pass. He finds cutters. He makes good cross-court passes. He'll help you with floor spacing for sure, and he may need to expand his range to be deadly. For his downsides, I would say shooting off the dribble was underwhelming. Kind of think of Joe Harris in that regard. Nothing explosive about his game, whether it's his first step or his verticality. His handle is nothing special, but he sticks to the basics. I guess it gets the job done, but as I said before, his handle is not great. Bottom line, McNeely can shoot the ball very well. He knows his role, but the ceiling is low. I think he can contribute to a team off the bench, but I would not take him until the end of the first round, so pick 26, 27. If he's picked there, I'm fine with it, but picked at 19, I think there's going to be better prospects left, so that would annoy me, so I'm just hoping that McNeely's not the pick at 19. Next is a pretty polarizing player, Igor Demin, a point guard, shooting guard out of BYU, listed at 6'8" and a quarter officially. There's people that love this guy and think he's going to be great. Some just don't see it. I lean more towards I see it. I don't think I love him, but I think I see it. If he's there at 19 and they take him, I'm okay with it. His size and movement skills do pop out when I watched him. He's a capable shooter, 27% from three. Definitely has NBA range. He made some deep ones. A pretty good ball handler. He has shiftiness to his game. He's a flashy passer. 5.5 assists per game, 2.9 turnovers per game, a decent ratio. He uses his body and size to get to his spots on smaller defenders. He's a very solid ball handler in the pick and roll, throws some really nice lob passes, and to do that at 6'8", it's impressive. It's not like it's a guy who's a natural 6'2", 6'3" point guard. This is a 6'8" point guard as a pick and roll ball handler doing these things. He's a positive defensively. He moves well, has switchable size. Not a guy you'll be picking on. He definitely has a passable defensive grade. For downsides, some of his passes are flashy, some are careless. So he does throw the careless turnovers. His shooting, even on catch and shoot, needs to be consistent. He had that 0 for 10 game versus Providence. Don't expect him to efficiently shoot off the dribble or create his own shot. His driving, it seems to be more robotic rather than explosive. He's just, I don't know how to explain it, but it's just not a guy who easily gets by his defender. It's just a lot of like robotic movements, but sometimes it works, so I guess you got to give it to him. For bottom line, Demin has point forward size, but without the consistent offensive game aside from passing. He might be more relegated to the next Josh Giddey rather than the next Jason Tatum. The upside is high. I'd feel comfortable picking him at picks 10 through 20. So if they take him at 19, I'm okay with it. I think Demin's a unique player. He's barely 19 years old, so he's still very young. And for a Nets team that they want to draft a bunch of young guys and draft them very young and develop them and kind of take them under their coach's wings, I feel like Dedmon you could really mold into a player that you want him to be. So I would not mind it. I'm not sure what the Nets' interest is, but if they do it, I'm okay with it. I'm sure some people in our fan base would be pissed off about it. Understandable, but for me, I'm okay with it. Thomas Sorber, a power forward center out of Georgetown. He is 6'9 and a quarter officially, so that was disappointing. He was listed at 6'10, so maybe slightly undersized for his role, but we do see Day'Ron Sharpe with the same size do some pretty nice things at center. I will say, if the Nets re-sign Day'Ron Sharpe, which I think they will, I don't really see the point in getting Thomas Sorber. I feel like it's pretty redundant. So I will say that. He does have good touch around the rim. He's pretty good at protecting the rim, blocking shots. He does rebound well. He looks tenacious while doing it, has a high motor. He has the skills to face up and post up, although it's a lost art in the NBA. He does have pretty good footwork for his size, not as clunky as I expected. He sets good screens. He can roll or pop off of screens. Like, he has a good enough jump shot. He's great at using that power dribble and creating space. He has good hands, which that's the opposite of Day'Ron Sharpe right there. He's a naturally skilled big man. He's not just playing basketball because he's big. Like, no, he actually has basketball talent. My concerns are his perimeter defense and switchability. His vertical could be better. It does remind me of Day'Ron Sharpe because Sharpe's vertical, it's a little underwhelming. Doesn't have the worst shooting form, but results can be better. And he did have a foot injury in college on February 25th, so that's pretty recent. So he's kind of like Day'Ron, just has better touch, has a little bit of a better offensive game. He probably doesn't rebound as well as Day'Ron, but that's a high bar right there, so I'm not saying that as a bad thing for Sorber. For bottom line, Sorber's natural skills are easy to see. You could tell he was trained well growing up. A player like this who is not a plus athlete and maybe a little undersized should not be going top 15 in my opinion, but there's enough skill to become a solid backup center in my mind. So clearly I'm a little, I guess, out on Thomas Sorber. I just think with Day'Ron being here, it just does not make sense for our team. But if Day'Ron were to walk or the Nets don't re-sign him and they take Sorber to back up Claxton, then sure, I understand it more. I still think there will be better players there at 19, so I guess if Sorber fell to the 20s, I would take him in those later picks, but at 19, I'm probably a little reluctant to take him there. Nolan Traore, a point guard out of France. I like this guy. I know some people don't. He was a little disappointing from maybe what the expectations were coming into this year, but super young, barely 19 years old. There's enough there where I think he turns into a good NBA player. Now, I could be wrong, of course, but I liked what I saw. So a year ago, he was projected a top 10 pick. Some people had him top 5. There was no official hype as far as I looked, but it seems like everywhere has him at 6'3". So maybe he's 6'2", maybe he's 6'3", maybe they're actually telling the truth for once, I don't know. He has really good speed, he knows how to find angles to the rim, he's a streaky shooter, 29% from 3, but his form does look solid. He's good at creating his own shot and getting a bucket when it's needed. He does look really quick in transition, he just blows past guys, so speed is a big part to his game. He does show some playmaking ability. It definitely helps that he gets by his man with ease, I would say, for the most part, so he's able to get by his man, create offense, get 2 feet in the paint. Like, those are big things, of course, in today's NBA, kicking out the shooters. Definitely moves his feet on defense, but he can be overpowered. He has a good handle offensively. He just knows how to maneuver with the ball and get where he wants to go. I would say for concerns, he has issues with efficiency, whether it's just scoring or shooting. He's pretty light, only 175 to 185 pounds, so may have to fill out a bit. His defensive awareness and over-aggressiveness on closeouts definitely needs improvement. For the bottom line, I find myself liking Traore's game a lot. He is such a smooth player and has the ability to create his own shot in multiple ways. He should be able to run an offense and make some impressive passes. If he ever becomes a consistent player, he will no doubt be worth a top 10 pick. So really, it's all about a 19-year-old from France being a more consistent player, which I think he can do. This is not a 22, 23-year-old who's been in college for all 4 years. This is a guy who is super young and played overseas. A player like that, especially for the Nets who need a point guard, assuming they don't take one at 8, they can definitely benefit from taking a Nolan Traore. So I kind of hope they do if it's not a point guard at 8. So we'll see, of course, what happens with that for the first pick they have. But if it's a small forward, if they take Malawak at 8, I would be interested in Traore, so we'll see what happens. Next is Rasheer Fleming, 6'8 and a quarter, out of St. Joseph's. He's actually from Camden, New Jersey, which I did not know about until looking into him. A solid shooter. His form looks a bit LeBron-ish, is kind of how I described it. Like, really turns his hips and does like that over-the-head type LeBron shot. 39% from 3, 4.5 attempts per game, so a pretty solid shooter, of course. Especially good on the catch and shoot. He was 88th percentile in effective field goal percentage on catch and shoot opportunities. He averaged 3 total stocks per game, steals and blocks. He's a solid defender, good at slashing and making tough layups off of cuts. He's a plus rebound, 8.5 rebounds per game as a 6'8 and a quarter small forward, power forward, whatever you want to call him. There is a ton of defensive upside. He's a really good athlete overall, a disruptive player. For his downsides, doesn't seem to have the best vertical, but it is good enough. Like, he's a good athlete, but I don't know, I kind of expected a bit more with his vertical. He doesn't do too much off the dribble. He probably won't be running your offense, but he will contribute, that's for sure. And can he shoot off the dribble? He does lack that mid-range game, really has no semblance of a mid-range game whatsoever. He is 21 years old, went to school for 3 years, so that's, I guess, a bit of a negative. Bottom line, Fleming is probably going to be a very good role player if he ends up making his open jumpers. He knows where to be on the floor. He gives effort on both ends, hustles every play. I don't think he has super high upside, but could become an elite 3-and-D guy like Dorian Finney-Smith in Dallas. So getting a player like that at 19 overall, I think I'd be for it. I'm fine with it. There's guys I do like a bit more, of course, but Rasheer Fleming, I mean, there's a lot to like. If you're making that many of your catch and shoot threes, you're a 39% 3-point shooter on 4.5 attempts per game, you play defense the way he does, he slashes on offense, moves without the ball, things like that. He's a guy who's going to help your team. I really don't think there's any doubts about that. So there are other guys I like a bit more, whether it would be, I guess I'll mention Carter Bryant. I probably like Asa Newell a bit more. I probably like Jace Richardson. I like Traore a bit more, but Rasheer Fleming, I would not be mad at it. I think it's a pretty exciting pick if they make it, so depends if he's there, and we'll see if that happens. Next is Danny Wolf, a center out of Michigan, a pretty unique center, I would say. He's 6'10 and a half officially. He was listed at 7 feet tall, so that was a bit of a lie. But 6'10 and a half, I mean, you'll take it. He's a solid shooter for his size, 33% from 3 on over 3 attempts per game. He wasn't great at the foul line, 59%, so bit of a concern, but I'm assuming that'll get better. He can handle the ball, really good for a big man, and he can run some point guard if needed, which is kind of wacky, but it did happen at Michigan. He had 15 double-doubles in 37 games. He's a very good rebounder on the defensive end specifically. He finishes well around the rim, pretty crafty. He does provide spacing, and he can hit from very deep. He has a lot of range. He does display high basketball IQ in most cases. He does make some really impressive passes, make some flashy ones too, and he's comfortable running pick and roll as a ball handler. So doing that at 6'10 and a half, pretty crazy. That's why I said to start off, like, he has a unique skill set. For concerns, I would say his lateral quickness on defense can be an issue. He's already 21 years old, doesn't have great recovery speed or quickness. He had 3.2 turnovers per game. That's too many for a quote-unquote center. He's not too strong with the ball at times. And how does he hold up against NBA physicality? He was a finesse player a lot of times in college. Does that work in the, almost an NFL. Does that work in the NBA? We'll see. I mean, some guys get away being crafty in the NBA, but it's just probably a lot easier to do in college. Bottom line, Wolf's game is very fun to watch because there are so many endless possibilities. He can be anything from a Sengun to a Kelly Olynyk. I'd be happy with him at 19. I think there's enough skill and IQ to become a very useful player in the NBA. So I would say I'm on the Danny Wolf train. I think there's probably bigger fans than me, but I'm for it. I mean, I wish he was a bit younger. He's already 21, and there are concerns with the turnovers and some play strength, but overall, I mean, as I said, it's just such a fun player. There's endless possibilities of what he can be. We all want to look for the next Jokic. Who's the next Jokic? It's probably not going to be Danny Wolf, but like I think Şengün is a fine comparison. Of course, that's a high-end one, but I still think it's possible. And I just think Danny Wolf's a good player. So if they take him at 19, I'd be very happy about it. So we'll see if he's still there or not. I think there might be some teams that take him earlier, so that's a whole wait and see. Final one we're going to cover is Nique Clifford, a shooting guard small forward out of Colorado State. He was listed at 6'6", but he came in at 6'5" and a quarter. Not too bad. He is really good at crashing the boards and cutting. He does have a nice offensive game overall. Like, he got better. He stayed back at college, which I think some people were surprised by last year. He has that nice step back move, a good looking jumper, 37% from 3 on 5 attempts per game, 77% from the line. He is a solid passer. Like, he makes the right pass when it's there. Talented offensive player. He creates his own shots very well. He's able to get in the lane, do that turnaround, things like that. He is a plus defender. He can be versatile. He blocks shots. He moves well laterally. He can score in a multitude of ways, just posting up, layups, mid-range, three-point shots. The downsides, he's already 23 years old. He's not an elite athlete, but I would say good enough. Like, I think he's fine, honestly. I just know some people have that concern. And probably didn't get to the free throw line as much as he should for his size. And there can be some inconsistencies to his offensive game. Bottom line for me is Clifford definitely has an NBA body. His age and competition level aside, he could become a very useful two-way player at the next level. You wish he were younger, but the upside is still high for him to become a complete player that's a legitimate difference maker. So overall, like, I'm in on Nique Clifford. I just really wish he wasn't 23. Like, if he was 19 or something, like, I would say, I don't know if I would say take him at 8, but I would be very high on him. There's just some guys that have traits that are worth betting on, and I think Clifford has enough, whether it's offensively or defensively. I think his offensive game probably has a lot of upside. I think he just is able to create his own shot whenever he needs to, and as I said, he can get inside the lane. He can make that turnaround jumper and just do certain things that guys like a Jason Tatum can do, and maybe not to that degree, obviously, but just able to get in the lane, make those off-balance jumpers. Like, that's such a big part of creating offense in the NBA. The Nets, of course, have that with Cam Thomas, but Nique Clifford is a different build. He can probably be a small forward at that size. So we'll see if they go that route. I'd be a little surprised, I guess, if the Nets went this way, because I think they want to go younger, but if they take Clifford, I think I'm a fan of it. I like his game, so we'll see if that's the case or not. I'm sure there were some guys I missed, but for the most part, that's who I wanted to go over, so I guess leave in the comments if I left anybody out. And as I saw based on the mock drafts, like, this is who people have going to us. One website had Traore, one had Newell, one had Sorber, one had McNeely, which I know once again would piss people off. One had Igor Demin, and one had Joan Beringer, I guess is how you pronounce it. Let me look at Beringer, because I know I watched him. I just want to make sure, like, I didn't love him or something like that. My bottom line for Beringer was he's a raw prospect, but he has size and quickness to be a solid center one day. I can never see him being a flawless player, but can be a star in his role. There's always a chance he becomes the next John Henson and out of the league soon. So, all right, yeah, I guess I wasn't the biggest fan of Beringer. So he is one of those guys, though, who, like, picked up basketball very late. So I guess there is some potential. I guess there were some, like, Jared Allen vibes with me for him. So, I mean, I could see him being something, but I just feel like I just saw too many risks and too many downsides to take him at 19 overall. So I guess we'll find out where he actually goes. So for me, if the picks are Newell, Richardson, I can live with Demin, Traore, Fleming, or Wolf, or even Clifford. I feel like 7 of these guys, like, I'm fine with. There's some I like more than others, but those 7 guys I just listed, I'm fine with. There's some where I'm like, I'd be a little disappointed. I mentioned McNeely. I know that's probably not a surprise to some people. I don't think Sorber makes a lot of sense with Daron Sharp being here and Claxton if he stays. So aside from those 2, I did like this list for the most part. That's probably why I talked about these guys. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video. Not sure how long this ended up being, but hope you guys enjoyed. We'll talk about 26 and 27, those picks coming up soon. I want to see how long until the NBA draft. There's only 11 days left. Wow. All right, yeah, it's June 14th already, so 25th is when the first round happens. So I'll get the video out for 26 and 27 next week. There may be some other rumors that are worth talking about as well, so that'll be exciting. So next week during the week, I'll talk to you guys again, and by that point, we'll most likely have an NBA champion, which so far the finals have been good. I've enjoyed them. So far, it's 2-2. Pretty much everybody had Thunder in 5. I had Thunder in 6, which is still alive. I thought last night it was going to be 3-1 Pacers. It was looking like it. And I tweeted this before. I tweeted this last night. If the Pacers go on to lose this finals and never win a ring with the Halliburton core, they are going to remember that game for a long time. Like, it's kind of like us with the game 7 against Milwaukee. Like, that game's going to haunt me until the Nets ever win a championship, if that ever happens. So it may be like that for them, but you just hate to give that game up if you're the Pacers. They were up like 9, 10, 11, like I think late third quarter, early fourth quarter. Of course, Shea had his MVP quarter in the fourth quarter. He had that weird push-off travel thing that wasn't called and some other stuff that got him to the line. I think it was Nesmith who hit him on that one push shot he was trying to make with like 0.4 seconds on the shot clock. So that was just a undisciplined play. I saw a tweet today. It was so funny. It was like, I think it was Aaron Nesmith plays like a guy who was mentored by Marcus Smart and Jaylen Brown. And I was like, that's pretty hilarious. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video. Talk to you all next week, and I'll see you guys next time.